Alright, Partnership Introduction, Chapter 1. Introduction. Let me walk you through the chapter once again, just like what we did before in your Part 1, our first book. Due to its relative ease of formation, partnership is the business form of choice when two or more individuals want to combine resources and managerial talents to achieve common business objectives by sharing the risk and rewards. The partnership form of business also provides a means of obtaining more capital as compared to a sole proprietorship. It also presents certain advantages as compared to a corporate form of business. Actually, yung mga na-mention dito sa first and the second paragraph are some of the advantages already. Although there are a lot, which will be discussed later, that is the initial part of our introduction for partnership. Because of this, some retail service and even manufacturing companies prefer the partnership form of business. Professionals also find partnership desirable for the exercise of their profession. The chapter starts with a review of the different forms of businesses according to ownership and activity, followed by the basic characteristics and the underlying theories. So as we remember, we have taken up the kinds of businesses according to activity in our book number 1, that is Fundamentals of Accounting. So those were your service, merchandising, and manufacturing businesses. Businesses according to activity. Also, in our first book, we assumed sole proprietorship. So, ang assumption natin, lahat ng yun, ang nagmamay-ari ay isang tao lamang. So, we took up the 3 kinds of businesses according to activity and the first kind of business according to ownership, which is sole proprietorship. Here in our book number 2, we will be taking up the next 2 kinds of businesses according to ownership, which is your partnership and corporation. This is a very exciting topic class, yung partnership topic. Okay? Emphasis is given on the initial steps in organizing a partnership, the articles of co-partnership and its contents, advantages and disadvantages, essential features, classifications of partnerships, kinds of partners and their obligations, as well as their property rights are also discussed here. So class, ito yung mga usually pinapamemorize sa'yo ng teacher mo. Okay? Pagka kayo ay nagkakaroon ng recitation, what are the advantages, disadvantages, essential features, classifications. Then magbi-mention yung teacher mo ng description of a kind of partner. Then i-identify mo kung anong klaseng partner yon. Alright? And others. So you have here a case to remember. Eddie and Johnny were friends and retired employees of the same large corporation. They became interested in forming a partnership to acquire a nearby business being offered for sale for a down payment of 1 million pesos. They felt that they could manage the business which had 2 employees. Eddie and Johnny agreed that each would deposit 500,000 in a partnership bank account. There was no written agreement of the partnership. Eddie made his deposit from his personal savings while Johnny had only 200,000 on his own but was able to obtain 300,000 from another friend, Gringo, to whom he described the business with great enthusiasm. Johnny then deposited the 500,000 in the bank account, and the business was purchased. Eddie had never met Gringo and was not aware of his 300,000 involvement. Ayan. So, nagigets mo yung scenario, ha? Si Eddie at saka si Johnny, nag-decide mag-put up ng business, tigpa 500. Kaso itong si Johnny, hindi buo yung 500,000 niya. So, nanghingi siya ng tulong kay Gringo. Hindi magkakilala si Eddie at saka si Gringo. Ayan. Parating na tayo dun sa komplikasyon sa sitwasyon nitong tatlon to. A few months later, Gringo became annoyed because he had received no return of his quote-unquote investment. He suddenly appeared at the business while Eddie was there stating that, ay, partner ako dito, yun yung sabi niya, and demands to see the accounting records and the bank statements. Ayan, problema. Eddie refused, and after an argument, Gringo was forcibly ejected, pinalayas. The questions of whether Gringo was a silent partner, quote-unquote silent partner. Ano ba yung silent partner? So later on, we have the definition. caused bitter disagreement among all three principals. During this dispute, the business was forced to close because of lack of working capital. Eddie, Johnny, and Gringo then sought the services each of an attorney to seek damages from each other. The dispute might have been avoided, the business may not have shut down, and most of all, their friendships might have been saved if only Eddie, Johnny, and Gringo were familiar with the things discussed in the following pages. Ang sinasabi ng ating case to remember, kung lang sana, ayan, si Eddie, Johnny, at saka si Gringo nag-aral ng partnership, baka hindi sila nagka-problema ng ganito. Ayan. So kung ano man yung pananaw mo later on dito sa ating case to remember, masasagot natin yan dun sa tanong na, tama bang i-consider si Gringo as a silent partner in the partnership? Ayan. Okay, let's have a review. Forms of business organizations according to ownership. So as we have said, yung na-discuss natin na sole proprietorship, partnership, and corporation dun sa ating book number 1, yun pa rin yung definitions dito, syempre. Okay? Nire-review lang natin siya. And yung mga na-discuss natin na service business, merchandising, at manufacturing doon sa ating part 1, that was under the assumption na sole or single proprietorship yung ating kind of business doon according to ownership. So just in passing, a sole or single proprietorship is a form of business organization owned by only one individual. So alam na natin yan. He is referred to as a sole or a single proprietor. Generally, the owner acts as the active manager. He may supply capital from his personal funds or from funds borrowed from other parties. Partnership. Article 1767 of the New Civil Code of the Philippines defines partnership. Ito, kailangan pag pinamemorize sa'yo ng teacher mo, as we have mentioned back then also, it must be verbatim, meaning to say word by word because batas ang nag-define. Article 1767 of the New Civil Code. Ganon din later for your corporation. As an association of two or more persons, partnership is our main topic, who bind themselves to contribute money, property, or industry to a common fund with the intention of dividing the profits among themselves. Two or more persons may form a partnership for the exercise of a profession. That is called professional partnership. Okay? The partnership is a legal relationship among the contracting parties. Legal relationship. This relationship originates from a voluntary contract between them. The partnership contract may be oral or in writing or simply implied from the acts of the parties, as long as the element of mutual contribution and intent to divide the profits are present. Owners are called partners. Okay? As to the validity of a partnership contract, we'll get to that. Well, actually, you'll delve very deep on that in your law subjects. Okay? Doon mo talaga madidiscuss kung ano yung legalities. When is it valid? When is it invalid? Okay? Ayun yun. Yung partnership contract. That's what we're talking about. Corporation. The Corporation Code of the Philippines defines a corporation as an artificial being created by the operation of law, having the right of succession and the powers, attributes, and properties expressly authorized by law or incidental to its existence. Okay? Under the old Corporation Code, 5 or more persons are required to organize a corporation. However, ito yung sinasabi natin in your book 1 also, we have a new law, Republic Act number 11232, an act providing for the revised Corporation Code of the Philippines. Title 2, Section 10, a single individual, ayan, is now allowed and will be considered one-person corporation as described in Title 13, Chapter 3 of that code. When teachers like me teach in front of a live audience, we derive satisfaction to some extent from the interaction with students. Yung mga simpleng pagtawa mo sa mga jokes namin, they mean something to us. They make us happy. But teaching in front of the camera is a different thing. We don't even know if you're there. We don't even know if you're listening. So, a simple like dun sa ating video or a simple present, sir, nandito po kami, nakikinig. We are watching, sir, will inspire us. When teachers like me teach in front of a live audience, we know that you're there. But teaching in front of the camera is not merely sharing our content. It means sharing our time, our devotion, and above all, our passion. So, yung simpleng pag-subscribe mo sa amin, it lets us know that you are there and we are here to continue what we are doing. So, ngayon pa lang, nagpapasalamat na kami dyan sa yung subscription. It inspires us. It inspires me to wake up every morning, prepare discussion materials, and continue what I am doing. So, thank you so much. Please continue sharing and liking and subscribing. Thank you. The ownership is divided into shares of stocks. The owners of a corporation are called stockholders or shareholders. Here also we have included a fourth one. Okay? Cooperative. Very simple lang naman yung kanyang definition. Although sole, partnership, and corporations are the most common forms of businesses, here we mention cooperative as another form of an organization. So, malamang nadidinig-dinig mo na rin yung cooperative. Tama? It's a form of an organization permitted under the law. Its purpose being to gain for producers or consumers the profits or savings which would otherwise accrue to middlemen. Its capital is contributed by its members. Its net income is periodically distributed to members in the form of patronage refunds. These distributions are in proportion to individual purchases or other transactions rather than in proportion to their investments. So, kung maalala mo before, na-mention natin, we gave an example which we'll state again now. Say for example, merong mga magsasaka, parati silang bumibili ng pataba or yung fertilizer. Okay? Ang napansin nila, pagka pa isa-isa silang bumibili, okay, si Farmer 1 bumili, Farmer 2 bumili, Farmer 3 bumili din individually on their own, mas napapamahal sila. As compared to, pag bumili sila ng bultuhan, say for example, isang truck, ayan, and then sa kanila paghahati-hatian, mas mapapamura sila, mas makakatipid sila. So they decided to form a cooperative, okay, for the purpose of acquiring their needs, as yung kanilang farming needs. Ayan. So they formed a cooperative and then they decided to purchase for the entire group, for the entire cooperative, for all the members of the cooperative. In that way, nakakatipid sila. Ayan. Forms of business organization according to activity. We're familiar with this already. So, nire-review lang natin, class. Service organizations, as we already know, they sell services. Ang binabayaran mo sa kanila, yung kanilang mga servisyo. Janitorial agencies, laundry shops, beauty parlors, dental clinics, massage parlors, etc. Trading naman or buying and selling business. Okay? They buy the merchandise and sell it as is without altering its form. Not unlike when it comes to manufacturing businesses, wherein you have to buy raw materials, convert them into finished product by usually applying direct labor and then selling them in a new form, which is called, yun nga, finished goods or finished products. The examples are Bokayo manufacturers and hollow block furniture manufacturers, garments factory, etc. Eto na tayo. Basic characteristics of a partnership. First, voluntary association of individuals. Partners are responsible under the law for the actions committed by other partners. Ayan, napakahalaga nun. Within the scope of the business. As such, one must be allowed to choose the people with whom he will be associated. O, dyan pa lang, pag inaalala mo yung case to remember natin kanina, medyo nagkakaroon ka na ng idea. Okay? In this association, a fiduciary relationship exists among the partners, requiring them to exercise good faith, loyalty to the partnership, and sound business judgment in conducting the partnership's business. So thus far, class, dahil tapos na natin yung ating part 1, yung ating unang libro, na-prove na natin that accounting as of this point is not more on math or mathematics, tama? It is more on English pa nga siya kaysa sa math, tama? Reading comprehension and logic, above all, yung logic, tama? Kung logical ka mag-isip, yun yung sabi natin before in one of our videos. This is the course for you, yung pang sabi natin. If I'm not mistaken, mistaken, that is video 4. Alright? So, dito makikita mo, ang sinasabi niya, okay, so ipapaliwanag ko sa'yo in a more understandable terms. Alright? Dito ang sinasabi niya, if you are to be a part of a partnership, dapat kilala mo yung mga kasama mo, alam mo yung kanilang character, because under the law, you will be responsible for the actions of these people to whom you are associated with, especially if they are acting within the scope of their duties as a partner. So, dapat kakilala mo yung tao, talagang alam mo yung character niya, kasi to some extent, magiging responsable ka dun sa mga epekto ng kanyang mga gagawin. That's why a partnership must be a voluntary association of individuals. Ayan. Partnership agreement does not have to be in writing. Okay? Well, class, may mga technicalities dyan, and we'll get there when we get there. Okay? However, it is good business practice, ayan, to have a written document that clearly states the details of the partnership to avoid problems later on. Kasi pagka hindi siya in writing, it may still be valid. However, ang daming factors kasi. The human mind usually falters. Ayan. That is the primary reason we put things down in writing. Limited life. Since a partnership is a relationship originating from a contract voluntarily entered into by the partners, any change in the relationship terminates the contract and results to partnership dissolution. May nabanggit siya dito ang term, partnership dissolution. During the course of our study of partnership, we'll be taking up 4 major subtopics, okay, in this very wide topic partnership. First, partnership formation. After nito, partnership formation na tayo. Okay? Partnership operation. Second, partnership dissolution. Ito yung binabanggit dito. And then, partnership liquidation. Ito yung 4 na yun. Okay? So, sabi dito, any change in the relationship terminates the contract and results to partnership dissolution. Okay? So, briefly class, ano ba yung 4 na yun? Formation, siyempre alam mo na yan. Yan yung pagbuo pa lang muna ng partnership. Operation, pagpapalakad ng partnership. Andyan yung very important topic ng division of profits and losses. Pagka naman dissolution, ibig sabihin nun, nagkaiba yung composition ng mga partners. So, say for example, ABC noon, naging AB na lang, or ABC nagdagdag, nagkaroon ng D, yan, madi-dissolve yung original partnership. And liquidation naman, pagka sinabing liquidation, ayawan na. Okay? This involves the realization of assets, meaning to say, conversion of non-cash assets into cash, and then payment of outside creditors, and then kung meron mang matira, yun yung paghahati-hati ng mga partners. So, those are the 4 subtopics under our main topic, partnership. So, yun yung dinidescribe muna dito. Any change in the relationship, nabanggit na natin kanina, results to partnership dissolution. Madi-dissolve yung partnership. So, that means to say, dissolution does not necessarily mean or does not necessarily lead to liquidation. Okay? Dissolution does not mean liquidation. Magkaibang bagay yun. Partnership is dissolved by death, pag may namatay na partner. Admission of a new partner, ibig sabihin, nagbago yung composition ng mga partners. Withdrawal, retirement, or incapacity of a partner, or when the purpose of the partnership has been achieved. So, kung binuo lang yung partnership because of a certain purpose at saka nagawa na yung purpose na yon, then automatically madi-dissolve na siya. If that is the case. Dissolution does not, however, mean that the business ceases operations, as we have mentioned. If the remaining partners decide to continue the business, they may do so by forming a new partnership. Next, unlimited liability. In the event of liquidation, claims of outside creditors are given priority, as we have mentioned kanina, in liquidation. In partnership assets. This means that before anything goes to the partners, creditor claim must first be satisfied. That is correct. In connection with this, it is a legal requirement that in order to organize a partnership, there must be at least one member who will be called a general partner. Ayan, napag-aaralan mo later under the kinds of partners. Okay? Who will assume unlimited liability, general partner ang tawag doon. This member assumes the obligation to pay out of his personal properties and debts of the partnership in the event that partnership assets are not sufficient to meet his obligations. That means to say, class, if he is to pay out of his personal properties pwedeng habulin ng mga creditors kahit yung kanyang bahay, lupa, tama? Yung kanyang personal properties in order to satisfy yung deficiency ng partnership. So, mahirap nga ba yun? Tignan natin, may advantages at disadvantages ang pagiging general partner. Okay, class. So, that's the bell already. That's it for this meeting. So, ganun-ganun lang, class. A few minutes of your time every day, imbis na kung ano-ano yung pinapanood mo, just make it a habit to watch our videos bilang tulong na rin dun sa sarili mong pag-aaral. Why? Kasi tatandaan mo, hindi lahat ng nababasa mo ng mag-isa ay maririnig mo. At hindi din lahat ng mga naririnig mo ay mababasa mo. Tulungan yan. So with that, see you in our next meeting. See you in the next lesson.